Tammy Cherie Ellis was a beautiful 24-year-old young woman in April of 2012. She had recently dyed her hair bright red and was enjoying having time with her friends and family. Tammy was from AZLE, Texas, a Fort Worth suburb. Rumors swirl in that area that something nefarious happened to Tammy. However, the case has been very, very quiet. Tammy was last seen in late April of 2012. However, there were possible sightings of her afterwards. But the question remains, where is Tammy Cherie Ellis? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another bonus episode of the Where Are They podcast. Please email me if you have any case suggestions for us at canwefindthem@gmail.com, or you can always send me a DM on Instagram or a message on Facebook. Now, I look over hundreds of cases every week, and this case really struck a chord with me for some reason, although I have to warn you, there is very little information, and the few tidbits we do have are pretty scary and will leave you probably with more questions than answers, and I know that is super frustrating. So now let's get into the story of Tammy Cherie Ellis. Tammy was born on September 20th, 1987. Not much is known about her parents, although there are stories of her father being possibly involved in some illegal activities. And I know Tammy had some older siblings, but beyond that, we really don't know. AZLE, Texas, where Tammy lived, is a Fort Worth suburb that sits in both Tarrant and Parker counties. I always find that odd when a city or town sits in two different counties. I don't know why they do that. But AZLE, Texas is a small town city with a population of around 12,000. However, it is just 20 miles, about a half-hour drive to downtown Fort Worth, which of course is a much larger area. Tammy was also apparently hanging with some questionable people in 2012. In fact, I did find an arrest record for her in late 2010 for battery, and it looks like she did do a couple months in jail. But without knowing more specifics about what happened there, I don't want to pass any judgment on her for this. We don't have the whole story. So on April 28th, 2012, Tammy was allegedly known to be at a house on Big Wood Court off of Tenderfoot Trail and Jacksboro Highway in AZLE. Big Wood Court is a dead-end road with just a handful of houses. And I'm guessing, again, we don't really know for sure, but someone had come forward and confirmed seeing her at this house on that day, and that is why this place is listed as her last known whereabouts. So sitting behind Big Wood Court is the Dickey Car Sand and Gravel Pit, which is a pretty large area, and of course, if you're familiar with sand and gravel pits, there's bodies of water, there's large piles of rock, and usually not a whole lot of people around, if any at all. On that day, April 28th, a house that sits right next to the gravel pit called police to report that they heard a woman screaming. Or they thought they had. There are reports that say the area was investigated and searched by law enforcement when they got that call, but they found nothing. But other reports say that the police showed up at that home, the home that called in the information, and those people that lived there told police that they had walked out to the pit and searched, but they didn't find anything. And allegedly, police took them at their word and never went back there and searched. So I don't really know what the truth is. Did law enforcement search that day? Did they search later when Tammy officially became a missing person? We're really not sure, although we can say that nothing was found. And now knowing that Tammy was last seen at a house on Bigwood Court right next to the gravel pit, the reports coming in of a woman screaming in that area, which was alarming enough to the people that lived at that house that they called police. I don't think that's a tip or a report that we can dismiss. After Tammy was last seen and someone reported her missing, they started putting up missing posters around town. And after they had done that, they received reports that people had seen her with a man named Brett. I'm not trying to throw people under the bus here, but this is popular knowledge among Tammy's friends and family that she was with this Brett. But the reports are confusing, which kind of seems to be a trend in this case. Some say that's who she was just last known to be with. And some reports say that she was seen with him after April 28th. Again, another report that we can't confirm 100%. But please note that he was never charged with anything in connection with Tammy that I could find. There aren't many articles of Tammy's disappearance. It looks like there might have been a couple of local publications that put something out about her in the beginning, but those have been archived and are inaccessible right now. But I did find a missing persons entry on one of the databases that allows comments on the entries. And the comments here were very interesting. I'm actually going to read a couple of them for you instead of paraphrasing, so you can know exactly what's being said about Tammy and her case. Someone with the username Lost Mom says, "This has me concerned. My child's father was murdered by people she apparently knew on Bigwood Court. I hope you are safe, Tammy. I wish her family the best. My prayers are with all of you." Username Looking says, "Sorry to hear about your child's father. Tammy, I believe, did not know the people, was taken over by a person she did know. The gravel pit was searched and I also searched it. There is a couple that lives there that the police never talked to that told me about a girl screaming about that time back by the gravel pit. They called police, they showed up to the house, but did not check the gravel pit out there where the screams had been coming from. I guess they took the guy's word. Go figure." Someone with the username Pete. "Check out Brett Harmon. I saw these two together after the missing pics went up, like 2 days after. Then I never heard anything else about her or seen him until like a week ago at Dollar General in AZLE. He was very skittish and kept looking behind him, thinking people were looking for him." And now here is an interesting one by username Heartsick. "I heard in passing conversation that she was abducted because of who her father was, and they were going to hold her to get money from family. And they ended up killing her by mistake and dumped the body in a sand pit. So if any of these statements are accurate, we can surmise from this that, number one, Tammy may have been associating with people that have committed murder before. Number two, the pit was searched, if not by law enforcement, at least by people close to Tammy. Number three, the name Brett Harmon comes up once again, and it seems locals have some suspicion about him. Number four, Tammy's father might have been involved in some illegal activities that some people think might have put Tammy in danger. Honestly, this all seems like a plot from a movie, not real life. But this is real life, the life of a young woman. On September 17th, 2014, 2 years after Tammy went missing, the family received a call from the FBI telling them they had credible information from an informant who was in custody about Tammy. Because of this information that they received, they were changing the classification of Tammy's case from missing to murdered. They told the family there was no arrest just yet, but they were making progress. They collected some evidence, including a white sheet, and they were waiting for DNA results to come in. Nothing further would ever be discussed regarding that, so there's no telling where that lead went or even what the results of that testing were. That same year, friends and family would hold a vigil in AZLE on what would have been Tammy's 27th birthday. Another suspect talked about online is someone by the name of Wayne. I don't have a last name, but it is rumored that he was arrested in 2015 and incarcerated. But again, I don't know if that has anything to do with Tammy's case or if it was unrelated, and without his last name, I can't pull any court records. But it's clear that some consider him a suspect in her disappearance, or some believe he knows maybe more than he has said. So what could have happened to Tammy? It's hard to even break this down into theories with as little as we know, but it appears to be known that she met with foul play. But why? Was it indeed due to her father? Was she with the wrong people? Why murder her? No other motive has ever been brought forth. Or was there maybe an accident? But if it was, does someone still know something? Is she possibly still alive, being held somewhere against her will? It's been 9 years since she vanished, so that does seem unlikely. Plus, the FBI does believe that Tammy met with foul play. But I want her name out there, and I want people to know that she still needs to be found. Her family still needs and wants answers. And the circumstances involving this case seem really bizarre. And a lot of times in those type of cases, the media tends to pick up their stories more often because of the unusual nature of it. But Tammy's case received little to no attention. What do you think might have happened to Tammy Cherie Ellis? Is there enough information here to even form a theory? Tammy disappeared on April 28, 2012, in AZLE, Texas. She is described as being 5 foot 2 inches tall and weighing about 120 pounds at that time. She had recently dyed her hair red, but her natural hair color is said to be dark. She has several tattoos, including flames on her lower abdomen, flames on her upper back, a butterfly on her middle back, a tribal tattoo on her back, and a skull on her outer left leg. Any information about Tammy or her case should be directed to Tarrant County Sheriff's Office at 817-884-1271. Thank you so much for listening to Tammy's story. We will be back again next week with another bonus episode on Patreon. And until then, stay safe and hug your loved ones.